Most men over 50 have heard the same advice for years. Drink more water. Stay hydrated. Carry a bottle with you. Sip all day. And to be fair, that advice is not wrong. Water matters. Your body depends on it. Every cell, every organ, every major function in your system relies on proper hydration. So millions of men did exactly what they were told. They bought the bigger bottles. They set reminders on their phones. They made hydration part of their routine. They believed they were doing the right thing for their energy, their heart, and their long-term health. But here is the part almost nobody explains. If you are over 50 and the only thing going into that glass is plain water, then you may be missing one of the simplest and most powerful nutritional opportunities to support circulation, stamina, mental sharpness, and overall vitality. Not because water is bad. Water is essential. But because after 50, your body often needs more than hydration alone. It needs support for the biological systems that no longer work the way they did when you were 30 or 40. And once you understand what is actually changing inside the body, you may never look at your morning glass of water the same way again. Before we go deeper, if you care about taking control of your health in a practical way, take a second to like this video, leave a comment telling me where you are watching from, and subscribe if you want more science-based content designed specifically for men who are tired of accepting decline as just part of aging. Because what I am about to share is simple, actionable, and for many men, surprisingly eye-opening. My name is Dr. Anthony Fauci. I am a physician, scientist, and researcher, and for more than 3 decades I have studied how the body heals, protects itself, and responds to nutrition at the most fundamental biological level. Over the years, I have spoken with countless men over 50 who tell me nearly the exact same story. They say, I don't understand what changed. I used to feel strong. I used to feel focused. I used to have steady energy. Now I feel like something is missing. I'm trying to do the right things, but I still feel slower, flatter, and more drained than I used to. And when we look closely at what is happening beneath the surface, we often find one major issue hiding in plain sight: the gradual decline of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is one of the most important molecules in the body when it comes to circulation. It helps your blood vessels relax and widen, allowing blood to move more efficiently throughout your system. When nitric oxide levels are healthy, oxygen and nutrients can be delivered more effectively to your muscles, your brain, your heart, and every other tissue that depends on strong blood flow. That means better endurance, clearer thinking, more stable energy, and, in many cases, a stronger sense of physical capability. But here is the issue. As men age, nitric oxide production tends to decline. And that decline can begin earlier than most people realize, often becoming much more noticeable after 50. When nitric oxide drops, the effects are not always dramatic at first. They can be subtle. You may notice that your workouts feel harder than they used to. You may feel colder in your hands and feet. You may feel mentally slower in the afternoon. You may notice that your recovery is not what it once was. You may wake up feeling like you already need a break. Many men dismiss these changes as unavoidable. They tell themselves that this is just how aging works. But in many cases, there is a more precise explanation. The body is still trying to function well. It is simply operating with fewer of the compounds it needs to do the job efficiently. This is where plain water, by itself, falls short. Water hydrates, yes. It supports overall function, yes. But it does not provide the specific nutrients and compounds the body uses to support nitric oxide production and protect vascular function. Think of it this way. Water keeps the system running, but it does not necessarily deliver the raw materials needed to improve performance inside that system. If your body is trying to maintain circulation with limited support, hydration alone may not be enough to move the needle in a meaningful way. What if that same glass of water could become something more useful? What if, instead of only hydrating, it could also help supply your body with ingredients that support blood flow, vascular flexibility, energy production, and recovery? That is the opportunity many men miss. And the good news is that it does not require anything exotic. It does not require a complicated routine. In fact, it can begin with a few evidence-backed additions that are easy to mix into your morning water. The first is beetroot powder. If there is one ingredient men over 50 should understand better, it is beetroot. Beetroot is naturally rich in dietary nitrates. These nitrates can be converted by the body into nitrites and then into nitric oxide. That matters because it gives the body another route for supporting nitric oxide levels, particularly at a stage of life when the normal systems involved in vascular function may not be operating as efficiently as they once did. In simple terms, beetroot can help support one of the exact pathways that becomes more important as circulation changes with age. This is one reason beetroot has received so much attention in research related to exercise performance, blood flow, and cardiovascular support. Many men who use beetroot consistently report more stable energy, better endurance, and less of that heavy, dragging sensation that tends to show up in the morning or early afternoon. It is not a stimulant. It does not work like caffeine. It is supporting the underlying chemistry of circulation, which is exactly why the effect often feels steadier and more natural. A practical starting point is simple. 1 to 2 teaspoons of beetroot powder in a large glass of water, ideally in the morning. It has an earthy taste, slightly sweet, and for many people it becomes much easier to enjoy when you add fresh lemon. And that lemon is doing more than improving flavor. The second ingredient worth adding is pomegranate. This is where things get interesting, because supporting nitric oxide is not only about producing it, it is also about protecting it. Nitric oxide is a highly active molecule, but it is also short-lived. In a body dealing with oxidative stress, inflammation, poor dietary habits, or the general wear and tear that can build up over decades, nitric oxide may break down quickly. That means even if the body produces some, it may not stay available long enough to deliver the full benefit. Pomegranate is rich in polyphenols and antioxidant compounds that help protect the vascular environment. These compounds may help reduce oxidative stress and support the stability of nitric oxide activity in the bloodstream. In practical terms, beetroot may help the body generate support for nitric oxide pathways, while pomegranate helps create a better internal environment for those benefits to last longer. That is part of why the combination is so effective. One helps turn the process on. The other helps preserve the value of what is being produced. Pomegranate has also been studied for its broader effects on vascular health, blood pressure support, and blood vessel function. And when you combine it with beetroot in water, you create a more potent daily habit than hydration alone. 1 teaspoon of unsweetened pomegranate powder or extract is usually enough to complement the beetroot well. The third addition is L-citrulline. This is another powerful piece of the puzzle and one that many men have never heard of. L-citrulline is an amino acid found naturally in foods like watermelon, and it plays an important role in the body's nitric oxide pathway. The body can convert L-citrulline into L-arginine, and L-arginine is used in the process of nitric oxide synthesis. What makes L-citrulline especially interesting is that it is often considered a more effective way to support arginine levels than taking arginine itself, because it tends to be absorbed and utilized more efficiently. In other words, L-citrulline helps provide the raw material the body can use to support nitric oxide production from another angle. When you combine beetroot, pomegranate, and L-citrulline, you are no longer relying on one single pathway. You are supporting circulation from multiple directions at once. That is why this combination feels so much more comprehensive. It is not random. Each ingredient brings something different to the table, but all of them point toward the same goal: better blood flow, better oxygen delivery, better support for energy and performance. A typical amount is about half a teaspoon to 1 teaspoon of L-citrulline powder in your morning glass. It usually has a mild taste and blends easily with the other ingredients. Now, if you want to build on this foundation, there are a few additional compounds that can work very well alongside these three. Lemon juice is one of the simplest. It adds brightness to the drink, but it also contributes vitamin C and antioxidant support, which may help protect nitric oxide from oxidative damage. Ginger is another valuable addition. Ginger contains bioactive compounds that may support circulation and help calm low-grade inflammation, something many men over 50 are dealing with whether they realize it or not. Hibiscus powder is also worth considering, particularly for men who are focused on blood pressure and vascular relaxation. It is rich in plant compounds and also gives the drink a deep, vibrant color that many people enjoy. Tart cherry can be helpful for men who are also concerned about recovery, inflammation after exercise, and sleep quality. Better recovery and better sleep often go hand in hand, and that matters far more after 50 than most men appreciate. Unsweetened cocoa powder is another smart addition in small amounts. Cocoa contains flavanols that have been studied for their benefits related to endothelial function and blood vessel flexibility. Even 1 teaspoon can bring both a useful physiological effect and a richer flavor profile. That said, you do not need to throw everything into the glass all at once. In fact, that is not the best way to start. The simplest approach is the smartest one. Start with the core 3, beetroot, pomegranate, and L-citrulline. Give your body time to respond. Notice how you feel. Notice your energy, your focus, your workout tolerance, your recovery, and the steadiness of your day. Then, if you want, add lemon, ginger, hibiscus, tart cherry, or cocoa depending on your goals and taste preferences. The routine itself is almost unbelievably simple. Within about 30 minutes of waking, take a large glass of water and mix in 1 to 2 teaspoons of beetroot powder, 1 teaspoon of pomegranate powder, and half a teaspoon to 1 teaspoon of L-citrulline. Add a squeeze of lemon if you like. Stir it well and drink it. That is it. No complicated preparation. No elaborate morning ritual. No need to spend half your day managing supplements. If convenience matters to you, and for most men it does, you can premix the dry ingredients for several days at a time and store them in a sealed jar. Then each morning, you simply scoop out your blend, add it to water, stir, and you are done in seconds. That one adjustment makes consistency much easier, and consistency is where the value really comes from. Some men also benefit from a second glass in the early afternoon, especially if that is the time of day when their energy tends to dip and their focus begins to fade. Around 2 or 3 p.m. is often when circulation-related sluggishness becomes more noticeable. A second serving at that time may help provide a steadier afternoon without depending entirely on coffee or energy drinks. And unlike the sharp spike and crash cycle many men get from caffeine, support for circulation tends to feel more balanced and sustained. Now let me be clear about expectations, because honesty matters. This is not magic. It is not an overnight transformation. Your body did not arrive where it is now in a single week, and it is not going to reverse years of decline in one day. But what makes this approach so encouraging is that the nitric oxide system can respond relatively quickly to dietary support. Many men begin noticing subtle improvements within days. They wake up feeling a little more refreshed. Their workouts feel slightly easier. Their hands and feet may feel warmer. Their afternoon energy may become more stable. Then, over the following weeks, those small improvements can begin to add up into something much more meaningful. That is often how real health progress happens. Not through one dramatic moment, but through a series of small biological wins that build on each other. Better circulation supports better oxygen delivery. Better oxygen delivery supports better performance and recovery. Better recovery supports better sleep and more consistent energy. Better energy improves motivation, confidence, and the willingness to stay active. And once that cycle starts moving in the right direction, a man often feels like he is getting a part of himself back. What I want men to understand is this: the body does not simply stop wanting to function well after 50. It still wants to heal. It still wants to adapt. It still wants to maintain energy, circulation, and resilience. But it needs support. It needs raw materials. It needs an internal environment that allows those systems to operate effectively. When those pieces are missing, the body starts sending signals, and too many men misread those signals as destiny. They think decline is inevitable. In many cases, it is not inevitable in the way they have been led to believe. It is often, at least in part, a response to what the body is lacking. That is why this matters. This is not about chasing youth or pretending you are 25 again. It is about giving your body a better chance to perform well now, at the age you are today. It is about understanding that practical, evidence-informed nutrition can influence how you feel on a daily basis. It is about moving away from passive aging and toward active support. I have spent my career studying how nutrition and biology intersect, and one of the most remarkable things I continue to see is how responsive the human body can be when given the right inputs. Even later in life, meaningful improvement is possible. Not perfect health. Not fantasy. But real, measurable, usable improvement in how a person feels and functions. So tomorrow morning, when you pour that glass of water, think bigger than hydration alone. Ask yourself whether that glass could do more for you. Ask yourself whether one simple habit could become a tool for better circulation, stronger mornings, steadier afternoons, and a more capable version of yourself. Because for many men, that is exactly what happens when they stop treating water as just water and start using it as a delivery system for the compounds their body actually needs. I'm Dr. Anthony Fauci, and if this message gave you something useful, take a moment to like the video, subscribe for more science-based health content, and share this with a man in your life who needs to hear it. And in the comments, tell me which one you would start with first: beetroot, pomegranate, L-citrulline, or one of the supporting additions like ginger, lemon, hibiscus, tart cherry, or cocoa. I read those comments, and I always like seeing where people begin, because the first step is often the most important one. Take care of yourself. Support your body intelligently. And remember, getting older does not mean giving up on feeling strong, clear, and capable.